Call this meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. This is the Porter County Board of Commissioners meeting, Tuesday, November 13th, and it is 10 a.m. in the morning. We're going to move right into the consent agenda. We have approval of minutes, October 9th, approval of payroll, November 2nd, 2018, approval of claims, November 1st, 2018, comp time report is on file, and we are accepting applications for the following board appointments: Alcohol Beverage Commission, Board of Health, Porter County Convention, Recreation, and Visitors Commission, Parks and Recreation Board, Planning Commission, PETA-BOA, Redevelopment Commission, Stormwater Advisory Board, West Porter Township Fire District, and Wildlife Management Advisory Board. We also have Memorial Opera House contracts as noted on the contract on the agenda and on the screen, and I'll open it up to the board on a consent agenda approval.
Motion to approve consent agenda.
Second. We have motion and second for consent agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay. First up, for commissioners, we have an animal control and, excuse me, writing something down here. We have an animal control and animal shelter services contract between Porter County government and the city of Valparaiso, Indiana. Open it up to the floor. Any discussions?
Motion to approve.
Second. Motion and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And we have a request for approval by Jerome Zakora to continue renting 24 acres of county property located at 400 North, the Norfolk and Southern Railroad easement, which is on the north, the Grand Trunk easement, which is on the south, and 210 West, which is on the west, at a rate of $150 per acre for farming purposes. Open it up to the board. Any questions?
Motion to approve.
Second. We have a motion second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, pose same sign, motion carries. Next up, we got 15 North Franklin Street litigation, and I'll turn that over to Attorney McClure.
So, as we are aware, we have our independent legal opinion that the lease is void, and at this point in time, the commissioners need to make a determination as to the direction of whether to initiate litigation to have a court rule that the lease is void.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that the Porter County Board of Commissioners initiate litigation to declare the lease with 15 North Franklin and all extensions void.
And that is coming from our independent legal opinion.
Correct.
Second.
We have a motion and second to commence, to commence litigation?
Yes.
Correct.
For 15 North Franklin lease. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign, motion carries. Next up, Shive Hatterley. This is an hourly contract for 157 North Franklin. Shive Hatterley is the architect design professional for the 157 Franklin building. What this hourly contract is for them to do any work modifications needed necessary to move the 4D prosecutor's office into there before the end of the year. So we have about 40 days to get a lot of stuff done and get an office moved into a new place before the first of the year. So this is the beginning of that design, and the next couple up, Garrett Construction, Circle R Electric, will be for that as well. But up now is Shive Hatterley. Open it up for any discussion, comment.
And this is their temporary space.
This is their temporary space, correct.
Motion to approve.
Second. We have a motion and second for Shive Hatterley, hourly contract for 157 Franklin. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pose same sign, motion carries. Next up is Garrett Construction. time and material contract for 157 North Franklin, same situation there.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have motion and second for Garrett Construction on a T&M contract for 157 Franklin. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign, motion carries. Circle R Electric, time and material contract for 157 North Franklin. This is, again, is to do a lot of the electrical work that will be required to make this space function. Any comments or questions from the board?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have motion and second for Circle R Electric, time and material contract for 157 North Franklin. That would be for the 4D space. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign, motion carries. Next up, Sheriff Dave Reynolds. We have some few things here to go over with the sheriff. Morning, Sheriff.
Morning.
Morning, Edie.
Good morning.
Morning. Morning.
Haven't seen you in a while. Glad you're back.
I haven't had a bother for a little while.
Yeah.
And the commissioners can handle number 1 and 2 at the same time.
Okay. So first up on the agenda is the Caring Place statement of work. Sheriff, you want to give us a little bit of brief of what that's all about?
Well, years ago, we had a program in the jail for women, and we expanded it for men, and it's been well received by the inmates. It's mainly a program involving anger management, and we've been keeping the numbers, and I think when we actually unveil the numbers, I think what we're going to find is the recidivism for the people going through this program, they're not coming back. So it's a really good program, and the Caring Place has done an excellent job dealing with. They've always done a good job with the females, but now we've expanded, like I said, to the males. So it's been very effective.
Good.
Motion to approve
Second.
both,
Yep.
both agreements.
So we have a motion and a second to approve both Caring Place agreements. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign, motion carries. Frontline Foundations, Inc. Sheriff, give us an update on that.
Again, this is under a federal contract, right,
Mhm.
with that?
Federal
So, we've expanded the program in the which I call the God Pod. They've come in, they've done a tremendous job with the therapeutic, the TC, the therapeutic community, and the God Pod. And for years, they were in the God Pod and not getting paid. They just volunteered their time. So this has allowed them actually to be reimbursed for some of their time. And again, the response we're getting from the inmates is really good. And, the whole focus there is to reduce recidivism. And so we can get these guys and turn them around so they don't come back and do what they did to get in there. So it makes our county safe and secure. So we're real happy with them.
I heard a lot of good things about that program.
Yep.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for agreement with Frontline Foundations, Inc. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign, motion carries. Next up on the list is the Canteen Services Agreement. This is the inmate food service contract for 2019.
Yeah, this is kind of a big deal. We've had the company that we have now is bought out by Summit. That we got no response. It started off with getting no response from them, so they were somewhat unresponsive. We kept calling them because we knew their contract was up, so we opened it up to 3 vendors, and they came in, one of which was Summit. And they didn't come in when they were supposed to, but they did finally come in. And you know how that is. It's a little frustrating from our standpoint. We're real comfortable. We did a lot of due diligence on all 3 of them, and we're real comfortable with Canteen. They're closer. We know they do a lot of jails in Michigan. They've got a couple. They've got Vigo in Fort Wayne, and they have a couple closer by. And so we're recommending the commissioners, we're asking the commissioners to approve this contract with Canteen.
Motion to approve.
Second with the discussion.
We have a motion and a second with discussion.
How long is that contract, Dave?
It's actually just, what?
The contract we're asking for, 4 years.
It's a 4-year contract. And how does the cost of this contract compare over the last year or the last several years? Are we trending up, we flat, we trending down? Are we...
Well, the problem, it's not a problem.
Number of people.
We have our inmate population, we're one of the few counties in the state that our inmate population is actually going down. So when that happens, that inversely affects your cost. Your costs go up. So that's kind of a bad thing in a way, but I mean, it's a good thing that our population is down, and we understand why all our programs are responsible for that. What they're proposing was a little higher than what we have now, but with the understanding that they'll pay by our trays, which was like around $12,000, and then they'll adjust that cost in January, which would be pretty much the same what we're paying now.
Okay.
Now, if our population goes up, then we know the cost will go down.
Will it go down on this contract? Like with the-
Yes, yes.
The way it's set up is by meals, how many meals per
Meal,
meal
yeah.
are being served.
Okay.
And there's a big sliding scale within the contract, so the more meals we're serving,
I
the...
understand. I just wanted to make
Yeah.
sure it was happening during this 4 years.
Right.
not After.
And we keep real close track, too, to make
And we
sure.
had a problem with that when I came in, that they signed a contract right before I got there, which we didn't want to do that.
We got out of it, yep.
And what's important is we know we got a major project in the jail, in the kitchen, where we're going to redo the floor. So we broached that to all, how are you going to handle that? Because our kitchen will be shut down for maybe a week or two. And they're the only ones that made us feel a little bit more comfortable on how that was going to be handled. And because that's going to be a big deal, shutting down that kitchen and redoing that floor. So,
Okay. Good. Any other questions and discussion?
Got the motion on the floor.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. We have a motion and a second for Canteen Services, Inc., for the inmate food service contract for 2019 for the Porter County Jail. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Pose same sign. Motion carries. Next, we have interlocal government agreement between Porter County Commissioners, Porter County Sheriff's Office, and the Portage Township School System.
And you can handle both at the same time.
Oh, we can-
Resolution also.
The resolution, too?
Yes.
Then we also have a resolution between the Porter County Commissioners approving an interlocal agreement between Porter County Board of Commissioners, Porter County Sheriff's Office, and the Portage Township Schools for the utilization of school resource officer program services. So, Dave, why don't you give us a little...
well, in the nutshell, it's something that and I've gone on record, I know you know this, that we expanded all our SRO, school resource officers in all the county, and we took over East Porter this year. We took over Washington, Morgan. In January, we'll have Couts. We put another officer in Boone. We put another, or Porter. We put another SRO full-time in, not full-time, but another officer in Union. We didn't really want to take over Portage. We try to work, or they try to work it out. We were out of that discussion. We did not get into that whole debacle, if you will, or whatever was going on in Portage. But then they got to the point, apparently, that they had, the school reached out to us and said they're not working it out and they want us to take it over. Now, as the sheriff and in charge of the Safe School Commission, I didn't have a lot of wiggle room and I didn't have a lot of options. So we put in 2 full-time police officers in there, which I didn't want to do because our model has been part-time through all these other systems, and it's been effective. Regardless of what people say and what's against which best practices, I've heard all the different things, and I'm not really probably the biggest guy in all these best practices. You get lost on best practices. All I know is I know what works in Porter County, and what works is what we do. But what we're doing in Portage is a little bit different. We do have the part-time there, and we have 2 full-time. And right now, I will tell you, it's been, regardless of what has been said, it's been very effective. And the students and the teachers and the administrators are doing well. Well, when I gave up 2 guys, I said, you're going to have to reimburse us for the 2 full-time police officers. They agreed to do that. What I asked them to do, they've gone along with everything I've asked them. Now, they've asked us to do certain things, too, which weren't done before, and we agreed to it. Our position is, we work for you, we'll do what you want us to do, obviously within reason, and everything they've asked us to do has been within reason. Help with the buses, do whatever they want us to do. And certainly not being soft on if someone commits a crime. We've got certain issues that are happening throughout all the schools, and we're dealing with that collectively. So what we came up with really with the help of this gentleman here, the attorney Robert Swerd, he wrote up with a law firm in Indianapolis this agreement. And then we're asking you to sign this agreement. This is a 4-year agreement that will pay salaries and benefits for 2 full-time police officers. When that's completed, then I'll go to the council. I know one of the council members here, and the council wants, I'm sure if I was a council member, I want some assurances where that money's coming from, and that's where it's coming from, at least for 4 years. And so the school, they've agreed to pay the salary for 2 full-time policemen, knowing that maybe in the following year there was going to be an increase, which there is, and they'll pay for that. So that's kind of where we're at.
But, Sheriff, I want to commend you. I think that the other 2 commissioners feel the same way. Commend your department for, stepping in and being the adult voice, as it were, in the room, and getting this straightened out, because this should have never happened. Even though we're being reimbursed for the officers, there's still, as you know, there's still a administrative burden in managing that from internally in your department. That should have been and could have been worked out by the city administration and the school district, and it's too bad that it hadn't.
Can't disagree with that.
I would also like to make a point, too. I know Commissioner Blaney and I sort of chatted about this briefly. Some people, maybe the optics on this would be that, the county's sort of helping out the city of Portage. We have a lot of young adults and children that go to Portage schools that are in South Haven in unincorporated Porter County. So there is a tie here, and there is a large responsibility here for the county from a school resource officer, because once again, South Haven, as we've learned in storm drainage, is sort of out there in no man's land. And this is part of the effort, and I applaud the sheriff as well and his department. This is part of the effort of bringing South Haven back online into this county again, and giving them the services and things that they need up there to be able to have the safety and all the things that are provided the rest of the schools and other things. So I just wanted to make that as a clarification to everybody, that there is unincorporated children involved in Portage Township in this, and it's part of our responsibility. So I just want to make that clear. Any other comments or questions from the board?
Just thank you for putting the kids first.
Yes, thanks.
And their safety.
Yep. Here. So we could do these both. So
Motion to approve the interlocal government agreement between Porter County, the Porter County Sheriff's Office, and the Portage Township Schools, and also the resolution approving the interlocal agreement.
second. We have a motion and a second. Discussion. In lieu of that, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you.
Thank you, Edie. Good to see you again.
You too.
Next up is Tony Bianchi. This is the animal shelter. We have a few housekeeping things to do here. Can we do all these transfers at one time?
Yes.
Morning, Tony.
Good morning.
We have. I'm going to read the transfers out, and then we can move on all three of them here. We have a request to transfer funds. This is account 3610, maintenance agreements, to account 2250, other supplies in the amount of $2,500, and that's to cover cost of food for animals throughout the end of the year. We have a request to transfer funds from account 3220, telephone, to account 2250, other supplies in the amount of $1,000 to cover cost of food for animals throughout the end of the year, and a request to transfer funds, account 3950, contractual services, to account 2250, other supplies in the amount of $2,771.35 to cover cost of food for animals throughout the end of the year. So they're going to be eating well throughout the end of the year. We can open up the floor. So, any comments or questions from the board?
I commend you for doing what you did with your budget this year. That's the first full year in the building, and this is pretty minor.
Yeah, we've
shifting
just had to
around
move
for-
things around a little bit.
Yeah,
We haven't
not
had to
much.
do too much,
Yep.
so
You did a great job
it was,
predicting what you were going to need.
we all
Yep.
did it together.
Yes, we did. And that, it's pretty daunting when you go into a building 3 times the size of what we have and looking at all the
I was
additional
pleasantly
costs. and-
surprised.
And we've come out on the other end very well, not too much more than what it was costing us to run it before. So I look forward to having the numbers next year at the end of the year, first part of next year, to where we can really do a true full-year
Sure.
comparison on where we're at. So I look forward to that, and probably ask you to come back sometime in February, March,
Sure.
to where we could go over that.
You bet.
Hey, Commissioner Good.
Yes.
Commissioner Good brings up a good point, and one that just if you're setting up here, kind of goes over the top of you, and that is, how long have we been in there now?
About a year and a half.
Yeah.
About a year and a half. I mean, that transition you pretty much pulled off without a,
It went
I almost didn't notice
smoothly,
it.
yeah. We were pretty happy with that, so, yeah. It was
Congratulations.
very,
Yep.
very nice, yeah.
Good job.
Thank you, Tony, and the staff. You guys had a
Yeah.
steady hand out there, and I appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate that,
And I'm
thank you.
sure the county, the folks in the county do too, so,
And the animals.
and the animals. So we have a
Motion to approve all 3 transfers. as
Second.
read.
If we have a motion and second to request all 3 transfer funds as noted on the agenda, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
John Snyder, Assessor. Oh, Rhonda's gone, right? She's on vacation.
She's at the
HR seminar, yeah.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Morning.
Yes, we sent out requests for proposal for 3 bids to assist our office with next year's ratio study and trending studies, which the state of Indiana has bumped up the deadline, if you want to call it that, to March 1st. And so our office has determined that we need a little bit of help, kind of a shot in the arm, to have some outside eyes and help in getting this done on time. This will ensure timely tax billing for next year.
What was the deadline before?
It was August.
Oh,
Oh,
pretty significant.
Yes, yeah. So we've lost some time. We're just trying to make it up. We had 3 responses. They were all good. I've got no issues with either respondent, but the lowest bidder, Appraisal Research, we've worked with in the past. You guys have signed a contract with them to assist us already, and they could hit the ground running, and we need to do that starting right away. So that's my recommendation would be Appraisal Research.
and what was their dollar amount?
$41,500, Mr. Good.
And they were the lowest bid?
Yes, sir.
Where does that money come out of?
Comes out of our general fund.
And what's their name again, John?
Appraisal Research.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, a motion to approve appraisal research for the amount of $41,500 for the annual adjustment contract.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, discussion. When this study is done, is it put in a format, or how is it, because I'd like to, I know you're going to be on the timeline, but maybe look at our February calendar,
Okay.
maybe you could, if they could come
Yeah.
up and do sort of a presentation on what they...
Yeah, they're here too, by the way. I should have announced that they're
Okay.
here in the room.
They're waving.
Sorry about
I
that.
see. Just want to be able to maybe just follow up on what we contract. We need to follow up, and we need to ask the questions. So if that's, That would be my only caveat of all this. So if they're shaking their heads, so it looks like we're gonna make that happen.
All right, good, good.
So we have a motion, a second on the floor. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Laura.
Next up, Mike Brickner, 911. Morning, Mike. How you doing?
Good, thank you.
This is a Porter County Central Communication Policy, so if you've been coming to several of our meetings over the last 3 or 4 months, we've been really working on trying to work through a lot of our antiquated policies out at 911. This is more of that. So, Mike, why don't you give us sort of the nuts and bolts of it? Good morning.
Good morning, thank you. This is just one policy this morning, but one we'd like to begin to implement. It's, as you mentioned, Commissioner, we are going through all of our policies right now, updating and bringing them up to standards, a lot more current, and this is one that really needed a lot of attention. It's a call-off policy, as it states. It's just something that's going to better help us manage the 911 centers. We continue moving forward with quite a few changes going on right now.
And you worked with our HR department, Rhonda, to come up with a policy that fits with the direction that we're going with the county HR?
Yes, in fact, we're meeting on a pretty regular basis, and it's going along well, yeah.
Good.
And then you'll train your employees, obviously, on the new policy.
Absolutely. In fact, we have a policy committee within the 911 center, and they take a look at them as well and give suggestions back, so.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Central Communications Policy.
Second. We have a motion second for the 911 Central Communication Policy. This is an on-call and sick call-off procedure. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Highway Department. Rich Sexton. First day of snow.
How long have you been on?
How long? Yeah.
Just a few minutes.
I heard the phone going off at 3 in the morning.
Yeah,
I knew they were
that's
going
about
out,
the time.
so.
There you go. Maybe a minute or two before that, too.
So what we have in front of us is, why don't you guys tell us, I know we opened up the bids at the last meeting, why don't you tell us what you got in front of us here?
This is the Pozo Max snowplow dump truck and salt spreads for 4 new trucks with a 5-year lease purchase agreement with Pozo Mac. The new trucks will have a foot longer bed. They actually carry about a ton more material, so it means less trips back and forth, less fuel back and forth to the yard. So, little different truck for starting off.
See, this is for 4 trucks?
Yeah, 4
Yes.
trucks. Yeah.
Now, remember, there is $105,000 in this bid, I believe, 100 or 105, was it 105?
35,000 times 3, so
For the trade-in value?
It's 105.
105,000.
Yeah, so there's a trade-in value of $105,000 that nets off that $763. So that's the net amount, Commissioner Biggs. And this is a departure from what the highway has done in the past. In the past, the county highway department always just ran their trucks until they just weren't worth anything. And then we'd take them to a sheriff's sale and get $1,500 for them or whatever. What we're doing now is, in here, we're trading in, is it 3?
Yes, sir.
3 of our oldest trucks that still have value, and I think it's, those 3 trucks' value is $105,000. So that's where we're trading, we're getting into newer vehicles that are more reliable, and we're going to start taking a look at our rotation program to make sure that we keep up with our trucks. These trucks take a huge beating. And it's over, like I said, 815 miles of roads that we have to plow up here. So that gets you almost, if you took off from Valpo, that almost gets you to Georgia. So it's a big responsibility. We want to make sure that these men are out there in good equipment and are safe. So I think this is well-deserved, so I just wanted to point that out.
And another thing, we did an asset management on the whole fleet since we've been down there. Most of these trucks, they're running out of value at like 9 years.
Yep.
So these trucks are still, seems to be holding their value pretty well, because 9 to 10 years is about what they're saying we should get before we trade them in or do it, before we need to start looking at replacing them. So these trucks are a little bit older than that, but they still got pretty decent value on them, which is a good thing.
And also, just for the record, we will not take delivery of these trucks till about a year from now, because they had to be ordered. So we're doing all the work now, but we will not see these trucks until probably this time next year is when they'll be delivered. So it's once you order them, then you have to wait. And we're also trying, there's a lot of steel tariff stuff, there's a lot of other things going on, so we're trying to get these purchased before. A lot of this equipment that we're buying in highway, we're really trying to get it purchased before we see a lot of these tariffs go in on the steel, and you'll see the prices of all this equipment going up. So we're sort of rushing to get some things done here before the equipment costs really go up for that. So I just try and explain to everybody what we're doing. There's a lot of moving parts here, and it's a lot going on. And we just try to explain in these meetings every time what we're trying to do so everybody has an idea. So sorry about the long-windedness, folks.
In the future, and put the number of trucks or vehicles.
Yes.
I read that and almost had a heart attack. I thought it was for one vehicle.
Oh, yeah, well, that would be a gold-plated truck. No, we're not buying those.
4 total, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
4 total, trading in 3.
4 2020s.
Yeah, good.
Motion to approve.
Second. We have a motion and second for the purchase of 4 new Pozo Mac dump trucks, snowplow, dump truck, and salt spreader for $763,758.36. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Pose same sign. Motion carries. Next up, distributor.
The distributor is part of the whole chip and seals process where we bought the asphalt zipper, the chip spreader we were in here for. This is the final piece to pretty much make it a complete package deal for us. And the good thing is when we originally started talking about distributor, companies were saying around the $200,000 mark. This one is actually built already, and it's below the Tier 4 emissions and all that stuff that's going to make prices rise. So we're about $31,000 cheaper with this one than we would be when we originally started. Yeah, and we can have this in probably a couple weeks.
Yep.
So.
Motion to approve.
Second. We have a motion and second for Southeast Equipment, purchase of a distributor for $168,000. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Pose same sign. Motion carries. So now we can go out and start doing our own chip and seal ourselves and save quite a bit of money and control our schedules.
Start to finish.
Which is much more important in the overall end game. So we can actually start doing chip and seal in April, where before we've had to wait till July. So we're going to be getting after it a lot earlier next year. So be on the lookout. So, thank you, gentlemen.
Their roads won't be torn up as long.
Yeah.
Figure within a week, we should be in and out of a road.
Yeah.
I like the direction you guys are heading. Thank you.
Well, thanks for the
Thank
support.
you.
Thank you, I appreciate it. And the guys have been up since 4 this morning. That's what time I left this morning,
Tell
so.
them thank you.
Yeah.
I think the road's looking pretty good for what they're doing, so, thank you.
Thanks, guys. Development Stormwater Management, Bob Thompson is not here, but we have Christie Rasco and our new highway engineer.
Yes, Matt Gavella.
Hi, Matt.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's back.
Yes.
I love the newbies. They're always smiling.
Exactly.
Give him another month.
They're all laughing back there.
So this is, what we have up here is an LPA consulting contract between Porter County Board of Commissioners and DLZ of Indiana LLC, and this is a bridge replacement, the Porter County Bridge 68 on Smoke Road over Jones Ditch. And you want to give us any little detail?
Sure, yeah, this is a full replacement for the bridge. It's needed for the integrity of the bridge, but also the alignment on Jones Ditch. It'll improve the water passage under there and protect us during future flood events. So Bob and I have reviewed this. The contract is a boilerplate, and it's adequate, so we recommend it for approval.
Okay, good. Any questions?
Motion to approve.
Second. We have a motion and a second for a LPA consulting contract between the Porter County Board of Commissioners and DLZ Indiana LLC. This is for bridge replacement of Porter County Bridge 68. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Pose same sign. Motion carries. Next up, we have Tower Meadows. I'll turn that over to Attorney McClure.
So on Tower Meadows, we just have this as a placeholder. Their letter of credit expires January 20th, 2019. Between myself and the department, we've been working with their representative to come to an agreement that would not only increase the duration of the letter of credit, but working on some commitments as to when the rest of the infrastructure we put in. That infrastructure would be the top coat and also the fixing of the alligator cracking in the base coat. We're working on that. We just have it on our agenda because this has been on one of our problem subdivisions moving forward. My understanding, and part of those discussions, has been that the LLC that purchased these lots, then when they were distressed, has sold all but one of them, and the one that is left is probably going to take quite some time, as it's part of some litigation and potentially some bankruptcy issues, et cetera. So the LLC has done everything they can to move these lots. I believe Althoff Homes has bought all the lots at this point, so we're looking for at our next meeting to be able to enumerate that agreement as far as when that infrastructure will be put in, and right now the agreement is looking like it would be May 31st of 2019, and then obviously at that point we would deal with the letter of credit as we needed as far as extinguishing it or going with a maintenance agreement of some sort. So I would just ask, I was put here for an update to the commissioners, and we can put that, we just need to put it back on our next agenda to deal with it.
So there's really nothing to vote on today?
There is not.
Okay.
Just a placeholder because it's been one of our problem areas.
Well, I'm glad it sounds like they've taken some significant leaps here, so that's good to hear.
Yep.
So,
Good news there.
yep. Okay, next up, we're going to go to Wildlife Board. This is Mary Ann Zona Gregg and Bob Gregg. Thank you. I'm sorry. Thank you. We have
We can do them all.
we have a bunch of requests on here for additional appropriations. We are going to do them all in one motion.
Okay.
So we don't have to go through and read them all and everything, but they are on the agenda, and take it from there.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Good.
Good.
So it looks like what we're doing here is we're going to be moving some money around to, for maintenance, keys, for front gates, gas for lawn edger, printing, website,
Celebrate wildlife events.
Celebrate Wildlife events, which we've already approved, I think.
Yeah.
Tree removal, and event expense for Celebrate Life. So I think that's the overall arching of all this. Is there any comments or questions from the board? We'll just open it up right now and go right to that.
Commissioner Gray, just one real quick, not so much with any of the requests, but also would like to ask the Board of Commissioners if it would support allowing the Wildlife Board to utilize our grant administrator to pursue some grants that may be out there for their operations.
I don't have a problem with that. I think we should talk to her, make sure it fits in her contract, and we don't have to change anything.
Okay, we'll do that. And
Part of government, is it a quasi, is it?
The board's part of the government.
Okay, so then maybe, all right, we just need to look at the contract.
Good idea.
It's a good idea, though. We don't have a problem with it. We just want to make sure the contracts all jive.
I just know last time I added onto her list, we had to change a couple things in
Yeah.
the contract.
Well, we'll check, and I'll get back with one of you, too.
Thank you very
Very
much.
helpful.
We'd appreciate that.
Yeah, we have a few projects that would really benefit from extra money.
Yeah, and the grant writing is not our expertise. You know, we've done it in the past. Yeah, it's very difficult. You know.
Yeah.
It is. Talent in itself.
It is, it is. She's on our side, so we like that.
Good. Well, that's a wonderful program that you all have over the years ran, that that property, if some of our residents haven't yet had the opportunity to go out and visit it, you're really missing something. Here recently, you built with your
We
own
had a
time
bridge,
and donations
which was,
a brand-new bridge.
Which is I think it had a lot of character to the
Yeah.
trail. I think it was a perfect addition.
I mean, there is some beautiful old stand timber on that property that you will see in very few other places in Porter County. You notice that as soon as you enter the woods, these trees are huge. And but if you haven't yet visited it, spend a Sunday or Saturday afternoon and go out and walk it.
And come with
Won't
a
be
chainsaw,
disappointed.
and you can help us.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Jim. Thank you, Commissioner.
You're welcome.
So we have all these requests as an additional. Attorney McClure has said that we can do them all at one time. So we'll look for a motion on the floor or open it up.
Motion to approve the additional appropriation requests as noted on the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, pose same sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
You too.
Keep warm.
Yeah. Next up, we have Dawn Pelt. Hi, Dawn, from Porter County Substance Abuse Council. Good morning. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Well, we're getting there. We're almost to the end.
All right.
So why don't you tell us a little bit what you got here?
Well, I come before the commissioners today seeking approval for the community grants. And I gave the grants to the county attorney to review.
Okay.
So what I'm looking for today is an approval from the commissioners.
Okay. So you have a request for grant funding allocations, and then you're also presenting the third quarter report? Because that's what is that all in one?
Well, I'm not actually presenting it, but I did give it for distribution amongst yourselves.
Okay, so we're accepting it?
Yes.
So we're accepting it. Okay, I just want to make sure what we're doing.
Yep.
We probably need to do these separate then, because one's an acceptance.
Can't hurt.
Yeah, right, better safe than sorry, and he's gone. Better be safe than sorry. Okay, well, the first one will go, third quarter report regarding the comprehensive community plan status for Porter County.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries. Next, we have a request for approval of grant funding allocations.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on a request of approval for grant funding allocations for the Porter County Substance Abuse Council. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Dawn.
Thank you.
I'd like to add also that we do have some good news. We just, the council received the sum of $375,000 to train mental health training awareness. So we're going to work with Porter Stark, and we're going to train at no cost to law enforcement, teachers, superintendents, anybody that's interested. So we have that money available for the next 3 years. And then also our Drug-Free Communities grant, we were granted a continuation, so we have $625,000 to work with the youth in Porter County for the next 5 years.
Perfect.
$1 million.
Yeah, so
Wow.
Yeah, great
just
job.
want to let you know. Thank you.
Keep writing those grants,
Okay,
right?
we will. We will
Yeah.
try.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dawn, and thank you for the work you're doing out there, front line. Love it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that brings us to the end of our meeting. At this point, we'd like to, anybody wishing to address this board can please come forward. If someone, please come forward, sit down here, give your name, your address, right by the microphone so we can hear you. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Kathy Sipple. My address is 455 Andover Drive, Valparaiso.
John Vigilante, 3003 Coachman Trail, Valparaiso.
Go ahead.
So we were workers in the election on Tuesday.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, we'd like to be proactive and see if we can help
Sure.
improve things. As workers, I think we had a unique...
Front row seat.
Yep, front row seat. So Kathy, you want to talk what you have here?
Sure. I realize that I, as a poll clerk, at one precinct, had a very limited view of what happened, and it was very difficult being I don't want to say trapped, but you are, in fact, kind of not allowed to leave, so sort of trapped, trying to piece together what was happening at other precincts and collecting stories. So to that end, I used my social media and technology skills to compile this Google document that so far has at least 4 or 5 other people's fairly detailed descriptions of their experience and what happened. And John asked me yesterday, hey, would you like to come to this meeting? I guess what we're proposing is that we feel that an ad hoc committee or whatever type of committee comprised of both parties, poll workers, representing various districts and with varying amounts of experience, we feel would be very beneficial to be put together to help the powers that be moving forward to make sure that the poll worker experience is included in addressing training and other related things that can be done to prevent issues.
Yeah, our fear is that, kind of reading through the paper, I know that there's going to be some work as we move forward, but it seemed like it was all around elected officials and, folks like that, and we thought it would be good if you guys would consider, some type of ad hoc committee where you can get actual workers' experience. Our fear is that we had a fair amount of first-time workers who, after their experience, have vowed, I'm never doing this again. And as you know, we're going to need, almost 600, poll workers for each election. Maybe it'd be a little better with the new machines, we don't know. But there's another change, right? So
yes.
now, new machines potentially, so we thought we'd offer our help and assistance in corralling some folks that can help.
Can you send that to us electronically?
Yes, and the electronic link is listed here, so anybody can visit that and get that. So I'd be happy to turn this over to somebody, but I could also email it to you.
No, we'd love to have it.
Okay.
Absolutely.
This is extra, this is for you.
Thanks.
And my role is as the inspector, and I've done this maybe 4 or 5 times, so our little area did pretty well. We had 3 precincts, but waiting for absentee ballots was an issue.
Yeah, that was everywhere.
And it was my second time, and both times were with John as the overseeing entity that was making everything run. He did great, but it was a very, very distinct comparison between the primaries my first time and last week. So I definitely am encouraged, though, that I feel like there are things we can do to make it better, and we're willing to help do that.
I really appreciate your positive and proactive approach. We will need to hear all this stuff. We do need to get together with the new clerk.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, she and the election board will be tasked, but maybe when you send us that email, you could see, does she have an email yet? Probably not.
No, she wouldn't have an email.
The election board members do, and I think those names are on our website.
Okay, I did email immediately following the election, I think, to all of you. Did you get that? No, I'm sure you did. I will resend it.
I don't remember names right now.
I will resend it, but my contact info is on there. Again, the link is on there that will guide you into that document. So if you still need me to email it, I'd be happy to do that.
And what this board will do is, in the interim, while we're waiting for a new clerk, and we're waiting for a new election board, because it will be a new election board too, we know that they won't take office, and a lot of this won't be done till after January. So what we're doing here is we're going to be the aggregator of information. Right. We also have possible investigations that are going to be going on. These are type of documents that are going to be entered into the investigations and other things. So I think it was reported in today's paper that Representative Soliday has made a full request to the state election division, state police, all hands on deck. I know this office will be sending a letter to the Secretary of State as well, and I think Commissioner Biggs is going to talk about that in a little bit. I was supposed to give a pause before we did the open meeting to talk about that, but I got to this too quick. We were more interested in hearing from you, but we do have something to say on this as well too. So,
thank you.
Thank you, but we are going to be the aggregator of this information until it gets disseminated out to the proper people, and then between the council, us, and a lot of other people, there's going to be a lot of people coming together on this rather quickly after the first of the year. But thank you.
Another one of the things we're going to try to do that might help to kind of put an educational page on our site that just kind of explains to everyone who's responsible for what, who the players are, how you can contact them, what being a poll worker even entails, and how to get the training, and what, as much as we can, and have a question and answer, and just, there's not very many people that really know what's supposed to happen, and I think that caused a lot of problems, too.
It did, because on Saturday, when I went to the inspector training and got my ballots, I was in the last class, and things were not ready, and I just kind of said, that doesn't bode well for Tuesday, but I didn't know who to reach out to voice my concern, about, hey, maybe we ought to have all hands on deck looking at this.
Right.
And even, if I might add, we stayed, 5 hours beyond what we were supposed to, or something, no, not quite that.
I did.
You did, yeah. I think I was only 3 hours or so. But when he finally got the call that said, close down the machines, I asked you later, who was that? He didn't even know who it was that had called. That just seems so arbitrary, that anybody can call and there's no chain of command. Or
Individuals like yourself, certainly the general public, and those also who ran for office this particular election, you're all owed an explanation. And I'll guarantee you this board will give you one eventually, okay? We are going to do everything within our statutory authority to make sure that, or find out exactly what happened here and who and why they're responsible. What was done or what wasn't done. I think Commissioner Blaney and myself, since Tuesday night, we've received dozens of emails and phone calls. I have 14 phone messages on my phone that I have to still return. Attorney McClure and myself met with the FBI and handed information off to them. And today I'm going to make a motion for the Secretary of State's office to involve the Indiana State Police in looking at this matter as well.
We appreciate you taking, that level of care, and certainly while we do wish to uncover the history of what happened, our point in coming here was moving forward and how we can be a part of the solution.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for coming in.
You're welcome.
You bet. I know we had some other people raising their hands, so come on forward, sir, give us your name and address, and have a seat at the table here. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Robert Hayward. My address is 360 North, 725 West, Hobart, however, Porter County. I'm in that no man's land on the west side. Being and not to beat a dead horse, just kind of want to further touch a little bit on what we just were talking about. I've worked the last 32 years since turning 18 and being a registered voter in Porter County. I've worked 30 out of the last 32 years on the election board.
Thank you.
With all that's going down, one thing I would just ask that is kind of a little bit of a sore spot with those of us that have worked the polls, and with Vicki being here, I'm not sure what possibly her game plan is as far as the payments to the poll workers. I myself, that was a 20-hour day. I walked out the door at 4 o'clock, and I pulled into my driveway at 3 minutes after midnight. I signed up to do it. I'm glad that I did, because had there been a brand-new rookie inspector doing because I was given one precinct, and at 6:30 Monday evening was asked to go ahead and do the other two in that same building. The first suitcases were delivered to my home at 5 minutes to 9 that night, and the poor girl delivering those bags still had another 5 stops to make. It was bad across the board. I'm not going to beat a dead horse, but one of the things that I would like to see, if at all possible, I said in the past, I know it generally takes about 6 weeks normally for the pay. If there's anything that could happen, even if it's the commissioners allotting some extra funds to the auditor's office for them to be able to work potentially maybe a couple 10 or 12-hour days to go ahead and process those payments to those of us that went through that war zone that night, to maybe save face, if nothing else.
One of the things-
And I did also hear that there was potential of some consideration of additional funds. That part I'm not so much worried about, but in a more timely manner, just to help kind of ease that wound. I don't know.
Well, first of all, nobody signed up for what happened Tuesday night, okay? Nobody did. I have spoken informally to 3 members of the county council. They are in favor of, those members that I spoke to, of increasing the compensation, which it needs to be. Nobody signed up for a 20-hour day. That is not what you were instructed to do, and that was you came way out of your given responsibilities in order to do that. And thank goodness you all did not jump ship. And that, for me, needs to be rewarded. We can't, but we can't guarantee that the fiscal body has to, if there is an increase in your compensation, they need to make that decision. But we will send, our opinion to them individually, of course. Yes.
And I know they've instructed Vicki to look at the
Yeah.
potential of doing that, possibilities.
We're working through that process, and there's a council meeting coming up, and we'll get some more
And
direction
Vicki,
on that.
what would it take, what resources on your side is it going to take to maybe put on a fast track of paying out the poll workers?
Well, the first thing that has to happen is we have to get the data from the clerk's office. They have to tell us who worked the polls and their names, addresses, and in what position, because some people get paid differently.
Right.
The green
We
sheet.
already have a plan in place to speed up the process. We pay our poll workers through our payroll process, which means we also need the payroll forms like the W-4. If we are missing any of those, we have a plan in place to make that information come to us a little bit faster. So I'm deeply committed to paying you as quickly as possible. But we don't have the data yet from the clerk's office. And as soon as we get that, then we're going to start tracking down the payroll forms that we should receive, and then we can process the payment.
Has the clerk's office given you any idea how long it would take them to process it?
No.
Of course not. The clerk's office. Yeah.
The thing is, too, is as many vacant positions that actually weren't actually filled, it will ultimately be less work, but I was just hoping to ease the pain and
we promise you on our end, we'll try to get this expedited as quickly as possible, okay?
Sure. Appreciate it.
Thank you for coming forward in your service. Anybody else, please? The microphones are on.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I'd like to make a motion to direct legal counsel to draft a letter to the Secretary of State's office outlining the issues with this election and requesting an investigation by that office and the state police, Indiana State Police.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
And I'd like to point out, too, that the FBI and the agencies that we're talking about contacting today look at things differently. They have different roles, different things they're looking at. FBI obviously is looking at federal issues like voter fraud and voter suppression, and the state agencies are more looking at, did we follow state code? Were any rules broken along the way? How were the processes followed?
Exactly.
So we're hoping to cover all the bases.
Okay. The only thing I'd like to say is I want to thank this board for stepping up during a crisis that the people that were really responsible for either ran from the microphone or was nowhere to be found. A lot of the things that we did, or this office did, Commissioner Biggs and Commissioner Blaney, because I was on the ballot and I could get nowhere near this building, nor would I. So for me, it was very comforting to see two people that I work with every day step up and take on a lot of energy and a lot of negative energy that was going in the wrong direction. And it really didn't fall under this board's responsibility to do a lot of what we did, but I'm very proud that they stepped up. We were in front of a judge 10:30 on election morning. I don't know, and that came at the urging of us to urge the election board to do that. So there's a lot of behind-the-scenes things that were going on, but I can guarantee you this board was pushing every direction, every button that they could, even though it wasn't under our responsibility. And I just want to say that for a guy being on the ballot, you have no idea what that meant to me, to see people that I work with step up and do that. And it was a big thing.
Well, Commissioner Good, thank you. Many people probably don't know that all three of the county commissioners are native residents of Porter County. And I think I can say on their behalf, that was a very embarrassing situation to see our county experience Tuesday. One that we've always avoided those type of headlines, and one that I will not allow myself. And I think again I can speak for this board. We are not going to allow this to happen again. There's very few things that this county could have experienced that would damage its reputation as much as what happened Tuesday night. And we're going to make sure as the executive body that we never get ourselves in that position again. And those that are responsible for getting us into that position are taken out of those positions where they can no longer make those kind of decisions. That's all I have.
Well, thank you, Commissioner Biggs, for working with me this week, too. We had a lot on our plate, and I think most important to all of us is to have a fair and accurate election and have it to go smoothly. And we're proud to be from Porter County, and we want everyone else to feel proud to be from Porter County, too. And we're going to continue to make things better.
It's all hands on deck now. It's all hands on deck, so we got to beat this. So, thank you, everybody, for coming, and this board stands in recess.